Hello my darlings, my name is Stephanie and welcome to Teeny Tiny Ghost Stories and Spooky Tales. This series is a brief and short look at some of the haunted places in Britain and the spooky ghost stories attached to them. A little disclaimer, a lot of the ghost stories I'll be telling today involve murder and death. It's nothing too graphic, but I thought I should mention it. And also I apologise for the wind. Oh, so noisy. So, Muncaster Castle is one of Britain's most haunted castles, with lots of supernatural occurrences happening over the years. It has a long and dark history. Muncaster Castle is situated near the town of Ravenglass in Cumbria, England. How cool is that town's name though? Ravenglass. Ooh. It is believed to be standing on Roman foundations. The castle was originally built as a fortress, but was eventually given to the Pennington family by King John, who have lived in the castle ever since. The Penningtons have recorded evidence of the historic house being in the family since 1208, but some records go back further, suggesting that the family have been there since at least 1026. According to folklore, it is said that the Penningtons will be there for a long time to come. In 1464, Sir John Pennington offered shelter to King Henry VI after he was defeated in battle by the Yorkists. The king was grateful for the shelter and gave his drinking bowl as a gift in return, which has since become known as the Luck of Muncaster. The luck is made of green tinted glass decorated with purple and gold and is most likely Venetian in origin. King Henry VI declared that as long as the bowl remains intact, the Penningtons will continue to reside at Muncaster Castle. One of the most well-known tales connected to Muncaster Castle involve Tomfoolery, also known as Thomas Skelton. Tom was a court jester, and he was held in high regard around Muncaster Castle during the late 16th and early 17th century, up until his death sometime in 1600. He wasn't the nicest of people though. He had a really mean sense of humour, and he would do horrible things to people. For fun, he liked to direct travellers to a dangerous river crossing, knowing full well that they would be swallowed up by unseen quicksands. He was also believed to be behind the beheading of a local carpenter. The carpenter had fallen in love with Sir Ferdinand Pennington's daughter, Hellwise. Sir Pennington did not like the idea of his daughter being with a lowly carpenter. He had already arranged her marriage with a suitable knight. So he organised for the carpenter to be murdered. Tom, who was always looking for ways to increase favour with those in charge, he was eager to help out. To prove that he had carried out the order, Tomfoolery brought the poor carpenter's head to Sir Ferdinand. Since then, the ghost of the carpenter has appeared in a headless state. It is believed that Tom still lingers in the castle. He is rarely seen, but his presence is often felt or heard in the form of tricks played on family, staff, and visitors. Sometimes the tricks he likes to play are said to be a bit sinister, not the nicest. Most of the strange happenings in the castle are said to be Tom. The most haunted room in the castle is the tapestry room. Visitors have heard footsteps outside in the corridor. They've heard the door handle rattling and seen the door handle turning and the door opening, but there was no one there. A baby is frequently heard crying, and sometimes a lady is heard softly singing. She is believed to be a mother or a nanny consoling an upset child. It was discovered that at one time the tapestry room had in fact been the castle nursery. One time a friend of the Pennington family was staying in the tapestry room. During the night he was awoken by what he described as indistinct mutterings, which seemed to come from the chimney. He could make out the voices of a man and a child. It sounded as if the adult was talking to the child, who became very upset and began to cry. In the late 19th century, Margaret, the 11-year-old daughter of the Lord of Muncaster at the time, she died prematurely in the nursery. It was said that she was a poorly child and constantly weeping and had screaming fits. It is said that she can still be heard crying and weeping. The room has also suddenly felt very cold for no apparent reason. Dark shapes have been seen, and reports of the feeling of someone sitting down on the bed have also been made. As you can see, a lot of activity has been reported from the tapestry room. There is the White Lady, or the Muncaster Bogle, who haunts the castle gardens and roadways around Muncaster. Local folklore says that the ghost is that of Mary Bragg, who was a young housekeeper in Ravenglass during the early 1800s. She was in love with a footman at Muncaster Castle, but unfortunately for her, so was one of the housemaids. Mary would often meet with the footman, but on one particular night she was approached by two men who told her that her lover was ill and urging her to come visit him as he lay dying in bed. Tragically, these men had sinister motives. They led Mary down a secluded road where they killed her beside a large tree. Her body was found floating down the Esk River weeks later. It was in such a bad state from being in the river that they weren't able to properly find a cause of death. It is said that when the tree was cut down, it started to bleed. Was her love rival, the maid, responsible for Mary's murder? Did she put an end to her competition? Sadly, we will never know the real reason. Many residents and visitors have also mentioned noticing strange events within the walls of Muncaster Castle. Some have mentioned hearing footsteps behind them. No one was there when they turned around. Unexplained sounds have been heard from behind the walls. So they are just some of the ghosts and legends attached to Muncaster Castle, said to be one of the most haunted sites in Britain. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm really enjoying making these little teeny tiny ghost stories because I'm not going so in depth and they're a lot easier to do, and I get to share more of the ghost stories with you. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hopefully I will see you soon on one of my next videos. Until then, stay spooky.